Hola amigos, bien ok. Saludos otra vez desde Medellín. Hoy vamos a empezar con casi el mismo estilo de ayer, porque la videoidea es muy popular. Um, Dos otros palabras nuevos que están muchas veces utilizados, muy común, casi con apuestos o para, como dice, un prefix, de esta forma. So hoy, over and under es el tema de hoy. So here we go. Hello again. So yesterday's video we did in and out, proved very popular. So okay, I thought we'll do a similar one. Today we're going to use over and under. I like the other words we looked at yesterday. These two words are very often used as either a prefix or we say a suffix at the beginning or the end of other words in combination to make phrases that we use very commonly. Might often change the meaning quite a bit. So we're going to run through a few of these just to show you. And that's how we go from there. So obviously over, as in like above something, and under, below. One thing to bear in mind, generally when we're using these in combination, over in some senses indicates some sort of excess, something too much of something has happened. Whereas under is often used to indicate a lack of something, so not enough of something. That's generally the way we tend to use them when we're adding them to other words. But let's see some common examples and you probably see what I mean. So, fell over. I fell over. Or cross over. I'm going to cross over the road. Cruzar la calle. I'm going to cross over the road. Or cross over the street. Climb over something. So I'm going to climb over the wall. This one's an interesting one. We could invite them over. So maybe you're going to have dinner and you want your friends to come to have dinner at your house. So we're going to invite them, your friends, over to your house. We're going to invite them over. Boil over. So when you're cooking, too much heat, water's boiling too heavily, goes over the edge of the pan. You know. It's boiled over, boils over. Or equally, we could say you've overheated it. It's overheat. So it could boil over or it's overheated. Now notice here, in one case it's boil over, so we put the over at the end of the word, and in the other case we have overheat, so over is at the beginning. So it's not overboil or heat over. It's boil over, overheat. Yeah. Leftover. So leftover, something that's left over is something extra. So we prepared, maybe for food, we prepared this amount of food, only so many people to eat that much, and there was some leftovers, some food left over that no one else ate, or perhaps anything else you've made or prepared, you've got some things left over from what you needed. Well, this is an interesting one. Take over or overtake. So if we take over something, that's literally like taking control of something. We're taking over. So now we're in control, we're in command of a thing or perhaps even a country. But if we overtake, to overtake something, this is really just applies to when you're driving your car down the road or the motorway and you need to pass a vehicle that's slower than you. So you're overtaking him. Yeah. And then of course the classic way we use this for directions, is over here, over there. Over here, over there. So over is a very well used word, really. We use this a lot. These are just a very small number of the examples. Like I said yesterday, if you look this up in a general reasonable sized dictionary, you will find a whole pages of listings of words that start over something. So we have overlook, which is literally, it's like looking over the top of something, but obviously if we're looking over the top, we can't see it, so we're actually ignoring it. So if you overlook something, it's something that you don't see, you don't pay attention to, you don't take action on, or maybe, you ignore it, overlook it. Overdrink. Overdrinking drinking a bit too much. This obviously would lead to a hangover, which I haven't put up. I'll write that up actually. That's quite a good one. I missed that. That would indeed lead to a hangover, which obviously we want to avoid. Now, some of these other ones, we can see a very quick relation where we often use either over or under with the same word, and obviously then we have a very different meaning. So we could overreact to something. Something happens, and we take the event perhaps too seriously, or, oh, it's going to be a terrible thing, and people say, no, you're overreacting. Don't worry, it won't be as bad as you think. Or we could underreact. We could be unreactive. We could not, oh, no, don't worry, it'll be okay. That also could be bad. So it's a way of indicating both extremes, a positive or a negative. Overachieve. Now you could be what's called an overachiever. So you're given one thing to do, but you complete 3 things because you're very ambitious, very driven, want to do more. Or you could underachieve, which means that you have the ability, the capacity to do more things, but you're a bit lazy perhaps, or you don't realise, so you don't achieve what you could have done if you'd done things differently. Overflow. Overflow, rather like to boil over. We're talking here about liquids. Too much of it in a container goes out the other side, it's overflowing. Overcook or undercook. So again, we're back in the kitchen. If we overcook something, maybe that steak, you've got it a little bit too well done. Or again, you could undercook it and it's going to come out raw and it doesn't taste nice. It's undercooked. Overcharge, undercharge. So when you're buying things, perhaps you go into a shop and you think, well, that's expensive. Why is it expensive? They've overcharged me, or the bill's wrong. I'm paying more than I should have for that. Or again, undercharged. They're not charging you enough. They should have really asked for more money. To overestimate or underestimate. So obviously we're estimating something. We're trying to guess how much or how many of something. It's a quantity type question. We could overestimate. We could imagine we need more of something than we really do. Or we could underestimate and end up not having enough, which could be worse. Overspend or underspend. Yeah. So if we spend more money than we should, again, we've overspent. If we underspend, we're saving plenty, or we're not, maybe even not spending enough. We should have spent more to achieve a different project. But if we're going to overspend, we're at risk of being overdrawn, which is something to avoid in the bank, because then you get charges. So I hope you can see with that, just by looking for words with over and under, we get a much wider vocabulary, lots of different words that we use quite commonly. And this is only a very small selection. But the other thing I wanted to point out is there's a whole other group of words that we will see in English, which instead of starting with the word under, just start with the word un. It's a common prefix, un. So an example here, we have overconfident. So lots of confidence. Yeah, I can do that. That'll be easy. And there's unconfident. It's like, I can't. No, can't do that. Yeah, that's like the opposite. So where we see again, this is a negative connotation. This is something that's like a lack of something that's not going to happen. And there are lots of words. Again, I've only got space for, a few of them here, but there are an awful lot. So you could be unambitious, which is like the opposite of being ambitious. So I don't want to do, no, I don't mind. So you could be unambitious, unknown. So we just don't know anything about them. They are unknown. Unbroken, so you're not broken, or it's not broken, it's unbroken. Unprofessional. So again, a very negative thing. You're not being professional. That's an unprofessional thing you've done. Unemployed, as in not a job. I'm not employed, I am unemployed. It's more like unblinking. Unblinking is interesting because obviously if we're blinking, it's like we're thinking very, very hard and we're not sure what to do. But if you're unblinking, we use this term really to describe someone that makes decisions really quick literally without blinking. They don't have time to blink before they make the decision. Very quick acting. Or unhealthy. That's a healthy option on the menu. For that donut, that could be the unhealthy one. Yeah. So there we go. Hopefully with these you can start to see a pattern. The idea with this is when you start looking, particularly if you come across new words and things you're reading, and you're not quite sure, what does that mean? If you remember generally, over, we're trying to indicate some type of excess. It's like too much of, it's like a surplus of something, perhaps, yeah, more of. Whereas under is generally like a negative or a lack of something, not enough. And again, again, is a more of a negative connotation. So if you see those words added to other words, or the phrases, you should start to get a sense of whether they're trying to indicate a good thing or a bad thing. And that's the idea of that. So I hope you find this one useful. Again, déjame saber en los comentarios. And until tomorrow, we'll say cheerio for now.